Hey everybody, I had a request come through. This is relating to the Norse goddess of Hel is Hel, Hel. So if I could share a message from Hel to all of us, maybe pertaining to fate, destiny, that sort of thing. I'm going to keep the door open because she might have something else to talk about. Thank you so much for this request. I'm going to read your exact words here. Then I'm going to relax. Then I'm going to open the door for Hel to share a message with us. I find it interesting that you experience Hel as someone compassionate. And I could imagine a lot of people would find that maybe strange because we're talking about an underworld of suffering, right? So where's the compassion at? I like that you see her in this way. I'm curious to see that side of her. Hold on. Where did this go? Your request. I copied and pasted it here in a draft in my inbox, so I might be able to just click. And I thought I already had it up, but I must have closed it out. Here we go. It says, maybe you can explore this further with the Norse goddess of death and the underworld, Hel. I find her so compassionate. I really, really loved this. So this is referencing the video I did with the fates. So we have past, present, and future, and what their message was for all of us. And then an exploration of, is fate and destiny the same thing? Are there differences? So yeah, it's a pretty well-rounded message, isn't it? So yeah, you mentioned that you're deep in the Norse mythology as a Swede. That's cool. Norse goddess of death and the underworld, Hel. And you find her to be compassionate. That's beautiful. Okay. I'm going to do this with my eyes open. I'm just getting in the zone here. So we can get to know Hel together. Thank you so much for this request, by the way. And those watching, just type something. You want me to look into something? Just type it. And I might make it into a future video. All right. So right now I'm just relaxing. Getting tuned into your comment. Getting tuned into the universe here. So, and then I just wait to see what echoes back, okay? So we can learn what we learned today. Something is pulling on my chest, like it's a little disturbing. It actually makes me choke a bit in my throat. Imagine your flesh is a bit like Gumby, and you could stretch Gumby, you know, like way back, old school cartoon. So my flesh feels like stretchable, and there's a hand that grips my chest, like right at the heart, and starts stretching my flesh. And I'm actually seeing my flesh stretching, and it's freaky, okay? I'm surprised it hasn't ripped yet. So I'm like getting stretched, okay, for some reason. I don't know if it's pulling me somewhere, if it's torturing me, I don't know. That's my first experience. I mean, I could make it stop, but it's not for me to make this stop. It's for me to explore where this is going to go here. It's a male grip, actually. It's quite a big man. I mean, he's got quite humongous hands, arms. He's like Paul Bunyan huge, okay? And my guides are wondering what am I stuck to that I'm not getting pulled by this grip? Am I like super glued to an energetic wall here? Like, why am I not letting myself get pulled by this hand? I say, that's a good point. Why am I not allowing myself to go with this? Because doesn't make any sense. I don't need, whatever this inspiration is, doesn't need to hurt me in order to pull me or get my attention in any way, shape, or form. It just simply needs to talk to me. And so in some way, I wasn't humanly aware of my resistance. I'm only getting caught up to different parts of meaning about this. And so I can't actually let myself go in that direction because it's an appropriate way of communicating with me. And so I do stop it. I time out this hand and I give the hand back to the man and I say, you don't have to grip me like that. Is there somewhere you want to take me? Is there somewhere you want to go? Maybe we can go there together and I can actually choose to go there with you instead of be forced. It's so loud here. I feel like I haven't quite reached Hel yet, but in some way she's guiding this whole thing. Everything happens for a reason, you know? And so all of a sudden, after I speak to this man, this humongous man, I'm just the size of a human, but he's the size of a mountain kind of thing. Maybe even the size of a planet. But he takes me through this space and it's really, really noisy. It's like someone beating pots and pans together in your ear, and there's thousands and thousands of these annoying sounds, really. It doesn't have to just be pots and pans. It could just be breaking things. It's just different sounds of noise, calamity. And I'm starting to depict Hel is showing me different variations of the same. In one version, we have noise. In another version, we have, it's like crystal glasses with water creating these surreal sounds. And then she asked me if I know, how does a human being decide what their experience means to them? How does a human being decide if this is beautiful or if this is chaotic? I have to wait a minute. Something is becoming very emotional right now. Because my response to it is, we think that our mind decides. What if we're inspired to decide? What is an inspiration a mind thing? Like I thought it into spark? Or I just was sparked? What sparked me to see it as bad? It sparked me to see it as good. Because people say like one man's trash is another man's treasure. People, one thing that I come to accept is that people are going to like me and people are going to dislike me. And that's appropriate. But I think human nature is you want everybody to like you. I think we're still children at heart that still want to be liked. And we have to accept that we're not going to be liked by everybody. It's like one man's trash, another man's treasure. So one man will see you as trash, another man will see you as treasure. It's just the way of it. And it's good. Because it gives you opportunity to reflect. Well, what makes me your trash, or what makes me your treasure, and what do I believe I am? Is this an opportunity to grow, or is this an opportunity to embrace myself that much more with confidence in who I am, So I'm starting to notice that none of it was real. Whether it was chaos or whether it was beautiful, it was also nothing. And that's the creepy part. Because as I assess this with Hel, And I don't even know if I've articulated what it means to me completely. Because it's all about, what does reality mean to you? And what makes you decide what it means? Well, why did you decide that? Where did it come from? Because you thought about it or you felt it? And you followed your spark. Maybe sparks change. Man, that was too much for me. But now I've gotten older and it's beautiful. I see it now. Like, can you imagine being a kid having to sit still? But then as an adult, all that agony learning how to sit still, now you actually can sit still. You can sit in silence. You can sit with yourself. And some people still squirm like little kids. They don't want to sit in silence. So what if our hells create, the trashy hell experiences, kids sitting still, it turns into something of a heavenly experience. In time you adapt. You ever hear a song that you don't like, but you've heard it enough times that it kind of gets catchy? I don't know if that's a disturbing thing, or maybe it always was catchy. Maybe I just wasn't open-minded enough to like it. Maybe it's, I didn't like onions. Well, now I like onions. So was it because the onions were bad, or maybe my taste buds haven't adapted. I hadn't grown up and matured. This is what hell represents. So the creepiest thing about it is the nothing. It's almost like you would want there to be chaos so that there would be something. And if it could be beautiful, wonderful. But if it was all nothing, then where was the meaning in any of it? Was it your illusion that you created out of nothing? You ever sit in silence and still things appear? And what is the discomfort with sitting with silence? It's the nothing. It's the sitting with the nothing as though the nothing is all there is, was and ever will be. I'm just kind of dumbfounded right now. So I'm still kind of in this room with all the noises or beautiful sounds or nothing. And Hel is present here. And I ask her, what was the meaning of that beginning with the stretched skin and the big man? What was the meaning of that? Did that have something to do with her? Why was that necessary? I'm just waiting right now for her response. She said if nothing happened, would that have been better? If something happened, what could you learn from it? And she's starting to show us how important something happening is in our life. So if that's uncomfortable for you, it might be uncomfortable now. It might become more comfortable in time as you adapt, depending on the experience. She's reminding me of a weird thought that I had about children in India growing up in basically massive trash dumps. And I was thinking about, is that a blessed life? Because my human mind dislikes it. My human mind wants better for those children. I guarantee their parents want better for them. Maybe the children themselves want better for themselves. Why would a soul choose such a life experience if the soul didn't want it? So, is it for me to say what is good or what is bad? I still want better. So I choose to take ownership that I feel all children should not be living in trash, okay? So I take ownership that that's the world I want to live in, and that's what I believe is in our best interest, okay? Whether that is my human idea of what's right. And I think it's good, because I don't want to live in trash. I don't want to see anybody live in trash. And so I was perplexed by this thought, because how am I to know what is right and wrong? If it exists here, then it is good in the eyes of the universe. But maybe this is an opportunity for us to grow. That video, I guess I just did that one. It was about false light. And it was about human ascension. I'm still thinking about that message. I'm still thinking about it in different ways. And I've thought about maybe making a part 2. One of the ways I've been thinking about it is with human ascension is if we could see all the opportunities here on our planet to make it a better world, what does a better world mean to each and every one of us? And how can we make that happen? Do you want to live in a house that is so full of garbage and long forgotten cat and dog poop and reeks, and it's not healthy for your lungs or your body, or you're eating rotten food? Like, this is an opportunity to clean up the mess. Like, come on, all hands on deck. Let's clean up the mess. It's not just cleaning up the mess, because that's an action, but it has to happen from within too. So you have someone, let's say a hoarder, they have to solve their riddle from the inside out. And I don't even believe hoarders want to live in those messes. To have someone come in and help is a dream come true. I saw once, this was a short, it was a TikTok. This girl went into a house with a mother and child, and they had a roach condition, and it was a terrible hoarder situation, and she cleaned the whole thing up. And I thought, gosh, I can't imagine sleeping at night with bugs crawling around like that in a home that is just, people have their talents, but people have their struggles. And some people need help, right? We all need help somewhere or another. But isn't that what human ascension is? When we realize that we have the power to make it better. And where does that spark come from? Did it come from the chaos that created the beautiful sound? And then from the nothing, we had a spark that inspired us to say that we could do it better. There was another video that I watched. It was kind of this looming conversation that it's like the problems of our world that you never hear about. I mean, how many times do you hear another piece of news about Donald Trump? Like thousands of times a day. It seems like it's always the same thing, just a few different words. But you never hear about this terrible garbage patch, off the coast of like California, or it's near Alaska or somewhere in that area. You'll hear it the odd time. But shouldn't we be broadcasting this as one of the number ones? We got to work on this garbage thing, because there's a problem now with the plastics, and I mean, it's creating serious issues. So let's just not talk about that. We'll just talk about Donald Trump. I feel like there's so many other more important things to be exploring here, on broadcast. Like the way children are living and how we can make it better, like clean water. I don't know. It's just, I want to hear that. I want to be saturated with that. I want to hear that all the time. Like, here we have this problem. Here we have this dream team working on it. Here's what our projected goal is. Like, this is what it's going to look like in 10 years. This is how we're going to get it done. Like, oh my gosh, I might like to work for one of these companies. You know what I mean? Like, I want to participate in getting my hands dirty and cleaning up the mess. That's what human ascension is. So what sparks it? Because we thought about it, or because we were inspired? But what creates the inspiration? And Hel seems to be referencing this kind of anomaly thing. And maybe that's the compassion you pick up on, is her deep wisdom. Is it about hell and torture, or is it about understanding a human experience? And what really is hell? One man's trash is another man's treasure. Is it about being tortured physically, mentally, emotionally? I mean, that's what we always perceived hell to be, right? I need to go back because she was referencing nothing about that big man, and that was not nothing. And if it was just nothing, I'd be sitting here in silence with all of you, and that'd be a little strange. But I just don't feel like I got a clear answer on that. And maybe she doesn't want to give me one. Oh, she tells me to go back in time. She tells me to become part of the man that stretched my skin so that I can see through his eyes. So I do that. The first thing that comes to me is that sometimes we need to tell people what we like or what we dislike. And I wasn't aware that, I just thought I was being pulled into a space. I wasn't aware it was an opportunity for me to correct him on his behavior. Like, I prefer if we just talk like civil people, and, if you want to show me something, I'm cool. Like, that's what I'm here for. So it was an opportunity to then correct him and then let him decide if he wanted to be corrected or not, and if I wanted to participate in any further exchange. So that's it. I mean, but why that? The Hel is wanting to reference, to be mindful. So if somebody is doing something you don't like, they're putting you into an experience of hell. If you're just going to go along with it, you're just letting people drag you through hell. But you're letting yourself be dragged through hell by that person who just simply needs you to stand up and correct them. So the importance of correcting people is human ascension too. But we're afraid of correcting people for some reason. Maybe we need to give them time to figure it out. If I just correct them right then and there, that might embarrass them. Don't they deserve an opportunity to self-realize though? And isn't that embarrassment just part of the self-realization process? Isn't that why being a kid is so hard? Because you're constantly trying to figure out how to fit in and be right in this world. And then you endure shame and embarrassment and feel stupid, but you try to grow some thicker skin. I mean, being a kid is hard, right? But you grow up to an adult, and all those hard times actually turn you into a really incredible person. So it's good. It's a very good thing to be molded and shaped in that way. So it seems to me Hel's also referencing opportunity to correct people. So think about that in your day-to-day life. And think about what happens when you don't correct people, and what does that have to do with a Hel experience. And if Hel herself, who is a representation of Hel, is telling you that one way to avoid hell in your life is to correct people, maybe we should think about it. Maybe we should consider it. Maybe that right there is the answer to all of our problems in the whole entire world. We need to start correcting things, saying, hey, I mean, I feel like the world's heard enough about this. I think about the media and how it doesn't really present, it's kind of like gossip. It's just very annoying and boring. So annoying. Annoying gossip. It's just garbage. It's like that garbage patch, but it's in my face every day, and I just want it to shut up, And I think a lot of us feel that way because it's not doing anything purposeful for humanity. It's just being stupid. And it needs to feel some kind of embarrassment or shame within itself in order to shift and become something worthwhile for all of us. Because the news should be presenting the news, right? As best as we can understand the facts at this time. And it seems to be coming to my mind for a reason. It's all part of this message. The garbage patch, the noise. One man's trash, another man's treasure. You need to correct people, otherwise you're going to let them drag you through hell. And why would you do that? A statement from Hel herself, Can we be okay? Do we need something? But what if it is all nothing? Like, we need to pull something, though, in order to, I guess, have a reality. Isn't that the point? All right, let me see where she wants to go a little bit further here. She asked me if I feel complete about that introduction. I say, well, I could ask a million questions. I feel like I want to know something else, something new you'd like to share. It has to do with what would be perceived as an underworld, like maybe Norse storytelling about what it might be like to go to the realm of Hel and to be in her presence. It's not like she wants to reference that concept here. Like it could be a world. And as soon as she references it, I feel like I relate to my experience in purgatory. Like you find purgatory as an actual place, and it's got many dimensional versions of itself. So there's all different ways that you can lose yourself. So you live a human life, and there's times where you just feel lost. You just don't know where you're at with reality, with yourself, with the circumstance. And so that actually means that a part of your soul is actually in purgatory because you can't really find your way right now. So this space that she's taking me to, just, it kind of feels like purgatory, but there really are hell spaces I've witnessed. Souls, it's like, did you deserve that? It was you that decided you deserved it. So... But also it could be, yeah, I mean, all right, so when it comes to hell, like, I'm just going to say this. Okay. I have so much information on this, I don't even know where to begin. Let's say you have someone who did absolutely terrible things, and those terrible things impacted millions of people. You could say it impacted the whole universe, but directly impacted, let's say, 20 people. That indirectly impacted 1 million people, and then indirectly impacted. It just so when you die, which you can find people that are terrified to die because they're terrified to face themselves in the mirror. That's the scariest thing. So if you've been an authentic person doing the best you know how, there's nothing to fear when it comes to looking into the mirror of your entire existence as best as you're going to be able to see it all. I mean, you're going to know all the souls. You're going to know everything you interdimensionally impacted, how you impacted it. And you can even go into that space with the human lens there with you and be absolutely debilitated and unable to cope with what you created. Okay. Now you then, out of the inability to build what you need to find peace or forgiveness, that's what Jesus is all about, with yourself, now you have work to do, right? So now your soul can be guided into what you feel you deserve. So obviously your soul has many dimensional viewpoints, so it's not that dying is an interesting experience from what I've gotten to witness, because I'm an energy healer. So I go to tiny little pieces of your soul that is like a soul fragment piece, but it's a big deal. So if I can come across that and bring it back to you, you're breathing back in a regained part of yourself. So all the information of that fragmented piece and all the life lessons about it and why it still exists in that circulation, now I can correct it, bring it back to you, not because I corrected it, yes I did, but you were guided to want to correct that, and I just happened to be the one that you called upon to do the work. So now you set yourself free, okay? So you can set yourself free from hell anytime, but have you acquired the knowledge or the skill set to set yourself free? To forgive yourself, to take ownership that maybe you don't need to forgive yourself. Maybe, some people who are really, really good people are way too hard on themselves. So that could be your challenge, is just let yourself be you. Make some mistakes. It's okay, so you can put yourself in hell all the time. We do this. Whether this is, I died, I couldn't face the infinite mirror, I have work to do. Some souls just don't face the mirror, okay? And then they continue to grow and experience themselves as an ultimate terror because they don't ever want to acknowledge they did something wrong, which is basically reclaiming themselves, going back to God and finding ultimate joy, you can say. It's like holiness. The way that holiness would make you feel whole. Holiness would make you feel whole. There's still always things to explore, right? So when she takes me to hell, really, she's reminding me of things that I've seen in many journeys. And so is she the keeper of this space, of these spaces? What is her body or soul, or what is her consciousness relationship with the building blocks of these spaces? Why her associated with these spaces based on what I just talked about? Because I see her as wisdom. I don't see her as the material of these specific spaces. I need a minute to reflect on this. I'm starting to understand something new. Imagine there was an angel that could navigate places where souls are in despair. It's their own despair that they struggle with the lessons. They struggle with the ingredients that they can't seem to access, the knowledge or the skill, the forgiveness, the qualities. So they're struggling in despair. And wouldn't it be beautiful to have an angel in the space that was there with all the souls, like the mother concept, like someone that wasn't there out of spite, someone that wasn't there just to laugh at you when you're down, but someone that was there for you, whether you could tell it or not. And so really, we really should be seeing hell not as a chaos, but as a heaven. I know that's a weird thing to say, and maybe that's the compassion you pick up from hell when you experience her. That's what I feel about that. And in fact, what is one of your struggles that you're going through? Like something you think about on the regular that you're struggling with, right? That is a hell you're going through, okay? Now imagine there's an angel named Hel that deeply understands and wisely understands. And understands so much so that you can't even believe the understandings. Like this conversation about what creates human ascension, and do you have the courage to correct someone who's behaving in a wrong way? She's full of this, the ingredients that you seek in order to set yourself free from hell. But there has to be presence everywhere. And souls that love souls enough to actually navigate the darker places and to hold space in those darker places for the lessons learned or not learned. Because the thing about time is that nothing is erased and time is always happening. So even 10 minutes ago is still active. Like I haven't moved on from the past, even though I have. I'll always exist in every millisecond of a concept of time. That's my soul is all of time, okay? Your soul is all of time. You can go back in time or go forward in time, or however you want to look at it, to any concept of time and exist in those concepts of time. And those concepts of time will always be a part of you. You don't just, even the things like, oh, here's the soul fragment piece. Okay, we've set that piece free. That will still be remembered as a piece forevermore that was there. But it will always be remembered as a piece that was never there, because it wasn't there yet, and now it's still there, and now it's actually been set free. So all those versions of time will always forever exist, which kind of disturbed me for a while, but I actually like it now. I guess that's the one man's trash, another man's treasure. Things I didn't like, now I've adapted perhaps, and I can see the value in it. So nothing is ever deleted. Nothing is ever erased. So if at the death you have to face the infinite mirror, you will always be facing the infinite mirror forevermore. And there will be layers of eternity upon layers of eternity upon layers of eternity, where you will remember and respect yourself for what was so hard. But you'll also be an ascended version of yourself that one day found the courage to face it and then work through it or avoid it, and then still respect yourself for every decision that you ever made. There'll always be a version of yourself that can navigate the whole freaking lineage of time. And it's unbelievable, okay? So I think I'll finalize with that statement that Hel is an angel that supports you through realms of hell that you kind of dimensionally create through from nothing into something. So your soul can have experiences and learning and exist. What attracts it? Everything. Everything is perfect. Everything is seamless, okay? So even the hell that you're going through is happening for all the right reasons, and you're loved and supported through it. And even the angel of hell is there with you, so you're never alone. And that's not to laugh at you. It's actually to be compassionate. So that's what I have to say. See, your request opened the doors for all of us to reflect on all of this stuff. Thank you so much for that. And thank you everybody for watching. So offer a request and we'll see what comes next. If you're interested in getting a session with me, you can book a session, psychic wisdom and energy healing, at my website at abbeynormalswisdomquest.com. Also on Patreon, patreon.com/abbeynormalswisdomquest. Have a great day, everybody.